everyone, and welcome to the Multiboard Tile Learning Pack, which has been specifically designed to teach you as many of the core concepts in as a simple manner as possible of the multiboard tile subsystem. So let's get straight into it. To begin with, I'm just going to do this right here. We start off with 4 tiles. Now these tiles are single bordered tiles. They're bordered tiles because, as you see, they have borders, and they're just going to go right next to one another like so. Now, the way that we're going to actually be connecting these up is by using offset snaps. And offset snaps, if we grab this right here, this is the quad one. You will see that there's 2 different parts here. One of them is completely smooth on the back. That completely smooth on the back is the one that goes on the back like this, and this one clicks up like that. Now this is the part A. This works off a 2-part system. The part A system is the bit that goes to a surface. The part B system is the bit that's going to click on top of it. This here is the part B. But what we do is we always set the part A first and then do the part B. The part A is what changes the way that the A-B mount system works. Now, if you want to keep things super simple, you can just screw things in through the small peg holes, but being offset from a board or a wall or a surface of some sort basically lets you use standard pegboard accessories as well as do cable management behind them and do a whole bunch of other things. So let's get all these into place. So the quad mount's going to be going into the middle there. Then we've got a couple of dual ones. One's going to go here, one's going to go there, one's going to go there, one's going to go there. And then we've got the single ones that are going to go into these top 4 corners. Now, I do want to show you on some of these, there is this little arrow on it. This arrow lets you know the strongest direction for weight-bearing capacity of these prints. So you can see these are going to be this way around because the arrow is going up and down. This one, however, it does have arrows as well on it. However, the issue with it is that we can only have this along this way on the top, but on the sides it's as strong as possible. So let's get these clicked in. So we're just going to move these all off to the side like so. I'm going to start with the quad in the center. I'm going to grab a tile and I'm just going to click it in like so. It should be quite easy to click in. I'll grab another one. I'll click it in like that. I'll grab these 2 and I'll click those in like so. Then I'll do the same for the jewel here on the side. Let me go and put you on close up like this. And I'm just going to press, let that click into place. And then I'm going to press on the other side, click that into place. And I'm just going to do the same all the way around. Now, this offset is a 6.25 offset, which is to do with the grid of multiboard, which is based off 12.5 millimeters. The entirety of multiboard is based off that lovely number, which is a standardized number that works everywhere, and almost every dimension in multiboard is a multiplication or a division of 25. All right, now that we have this right here and set, this technically can be a point that you might want to go ahead and start mounting things up with this like so. However, I would suggest that if you're going to be doing this and you want to just mount this straight up so that you don't have any accidents of this coming off of the part A's, is to actually go ahead and put in the part B's. So let me show you this part B right here. This here is a part B. You'll see it has a little square in it right there up in that corner. And now let me show you on the tile itself, all of these also have a little square inside of there. Square to square always line up. So we know that that is on this side is the square. I'm going to go to this one here, take a look for the square on here. And I know now square to square line up. I'm going to use 2 fingers here and push this down, and that's going to now line up. Now you might be wondering, why on earth have I made this quite so complicated? Well, I haven't. Take a good look inside of here. There is actually a thread within this part B, so the orientation of these is actually very important, because if not, the thread would mismatch and then we wouldn't be able to use that to thread in some bolts later on. So let's go ahead and let's get these all in. So I'm just going to look at the square, go look at the square in here, line them up, and then just press them down into place. Now you will see that these jewels, if we knew the square was on that side, the square is going to be on this side. So we'll look at the square on here, and it's going to go there, and I'll just press that in. So let's just slowly but surely do that to all of these. Take a look at the square, press it in, and there you'll have it. I'm going to start from the outside first, and then I'm going to go into the center. It doesn't matter which direction or which way you put these part B's on. It's up to you, however you want. Now, if you're struggling to put these in, it could be your printing tolerances. Remember that the printing tolerance of Multiboard, everything is set for a 0.25 millimeter tolerance, and specifically with these part B's, you get a little zip file which has additional tolerance values in case your printer is printing too tight or too loose. You can then pick either permanent, loose, or tight from there. These are the standard ones, and they go like so. So I'm going to grab this one, go right here, square to square, line them up, go here, square to square, line it up, and now I'm going to do the same for the quad right here. The quad, the square is on this side, so it's going to go in a circle. It'll be square, 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 square. I wonder if I can show that. Here it is, so you can see the squares go around in a circle. So we'll just do the exact same here. Find the square, look it on here, square it up. You'll find that if you get this in the wrong alignment, it will not go in at all, because there are different sizes from one another. So if it doesn't go in easy, it probably means you've got the wrong alignment. So we'll grab this, grab that there, and I will put that in there like so. And there we have it. This is now already nice and flush and ready to be put up onto a wall. So let's talk about that. How would you go about putting this up onto a wall? Well, to put it up onto a wall, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of holes in this. Let me get you nice and close. So the quad has all those 4 holes. Here there's 2. The singles literally just have 1 hole. The way that I like to do it is that 1 screw on here, usually just 1 screw unless it's up on the top. The top ones I usually add 2 screws. And then for the quad, the one that crosses over that back one, I put a screw into each one of those like so there. So then I know that this is held on to the surface. Now, which screw exactly? Well, this is the screw that I use myself. It's a pretty standard UK-based screw. This is a wood screw. Now, in the US, from what I've been told, it is this right here that's on the screen right now. However, I haven't been able to confirm that, but I just want to let you know that that is what I've found out. So now that we have this up here, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the tile itself and all the different types of connections that it has before we go ahead and add a bracket to this. So let's get nice and close here. And first, I just want to let you know that all the holes on here are threaded. It's one of the great things about Multiboard is everything is threaded. So that means even these small pegboard holes, they are threaded. The large holes themselves, they are threaded too. And the mid holes, which are these here, those are threaded as well. Wherever you see a mid hole, which is this here, that has a thread within it as well. So I'll grab this one and I can thread into there. You can see this one here also has a thread, so I can thread this up on here. And I'm sure you've already guessed there's a thread on there, and that is all threaded. So everywhere there's a hole, it's basically 98% of the time going to be threaded. So now that we've talked about the threads and all of that good stuff, let's quickly go over the snaps. There's a few more things to show you with the threads, but I will show you that in just a moment. So when it comes to the snaps, we currently have 3 different types of snaps. We have this snap here, which is your normal snap. This is just a snap as it comes. Nothing special about it. It's not that weight or that strong. You just put it in, you press it down, and it clicks into place that quickly and easily. Then there's this here, the moderate weight bearing snap. It has one little arrow on it going upwards. You'll see it's a little bit different on the back, and it has this little lip up at the top. Now this bit that's up at the top, what you do is you get that arrow on the upwards direction, you angle it in one direction, and then you press it in, and it's going to click into place. That is now made for weight bearing in that direction, going against the arrow. And then we've got the hook snap, which is also sort of like a heavy duty weight bearing snap. Now this is a first folded mechanism here. So you fold this over so that it's as strong as possible. As you can see, this has a lot of hook to it. And of course, this only works with offset boards, but exactly the same as this one. You're going to go ahead, angle it first. You're going to be pressing on either side of this snap to get it in, and then you're just going to push and it'll snap into place. And then on the back here, you'll see that it raised up a bit. However, on the front, all of these are completely flush to the board. So how do you go ahead and remove things on here? Well, first, for all of these snaps, you can just use yourself a mid-thread. So I can just put this mid-thread in here and remove the normal snap as it removes there. We can do the same with the moderate weight-bearing snap. We put a thread in. We're going to go ahead the opposite direction of the weight bearing, and the same with the large hook one. What I'd suggest is you go all the way down and then go ahead and tilt it, and it will unhook itself from there. Now let's quickly talk about the removal of the part B's, because there's two ways of doing that. There's this removal tool right here, which is basically, as you would imagine, it's sort of the same. You just screw this all the way down. It's going to get a nice bite on it. And then from there, you're just going to give it a little bit of a wiggle either side, and it's going to take it off like so. Now, this is sort of a little bit more rough on the part compared to the other removal tool. So let me just put this back into place here. And the other removal tool is the DS for double-sided removal tool. And it comes in 3 parts like so. So what I'm going to do is you'll see there's a part that it thins out here. We're going to grab this top bit, slide it across into there. We'll grab this cap, and the cap's going to go insert into there. I like to go onto a good surface, give it a good thud down, and there it is now set up. Now, how on earth do you use this? Well, you grab it like so. You pinch these together, you put one end in, the other end in, that's now held in. Let me give you a nice close-up. You can see there it is basically got its little prongs ready to pull up, and as you imagine, you just go here and lift up, and that is going to take off the part B. Now you could just go ahead, just go and do another one, and so on and so forth. So if I just go here, open that up, bring that in there, there, and pull up, and so on. This is very good if you're wanting to go ahead and remove this from the wall when you don't actually have to undo the screws to get to the wall behind it. So it's one of the sort of hyper flexibility things that Multiboard brings to the table. It's just this idea that, hey, you want to get behind the tile once again? You can. Just do that. Okay, now that I've shown you how to remove things, let's go ahead and talk about a few other things that the board can do. One of the things is this here. This is a peg click. It can also be seen as a normal pegboard accessory. You basically put it into one hole here, you press it down, and it's going to click into place, and that is now really solid and in place. You grab it from here, you pull once again, and that's going to undo it from its position, and you'll be able to take it back out. This is an incredibly versatile hook, so I'm just going to go and put this in there. There it is. Snap it into place, and there you have it. Now, of course, you can't just use pegboard accessories because of the 25mm spacing, but let's go ahead and add this hook here, because this hook here is a little bit different. You might be wondering, okay, well, how on earth do I attach this to here? Or I sort of get it. You must have a need to get a snap, but this doesn't really attach much to there. That just comes straight off. Well, you've got to use a bolt locking bolt. So this here does bolt locking with a locking bolt. So the concept of bolt locking is locking an accessory to a snap or another type of mount. So we're going to put these two together. You're going to get this T bolt locking bolt. And I'm just going to thread these two together here on the back. It should be relatively easy. Now, of course, if you want to tighten that up even more, I use myself a coin. You can use a coin driver, or you could even use a 10mm flathead, and there you have it. Now, what I've done is I've made sure that the arrow that I've got here is upwards. And once again, I'm just going to go in from one direction and snap that into place. And that's going to be nice and strong in that cardinal direction right there, made to take weight. But if I ever want to take it off, I go upwards, and that will take it right off like so. Now, of course, I could have used the hook snap instead to put that in. So let's just recap. We've got the normal snap here. Let me just go nice and close. The normal snap, which I'm going to have right here. You just can push that in. You've got the weight bearing snap, the moderate weight bearing snap with a little arrow up top, which goes in like so. And then we've got the heavy weight bearing snap, or the hook snap, that has this hook, which you hook it on from one side, pressing on both sides to hook it into place, and that hooks in like that. All right, then we have the bolts. You've already heard me mention one of them, which is the T-bolt variation of a bolt, but this is a multi-head bolt. And what's really interesting about this multi-head bolt is if you look at this and you look at that, those are exactly the same. In fact, if I were to get myself a snap from right here, I would be able to snap that snap onto that head right there. Why would I want to do that? I have no idea, but it's possible to do it. It's all about functionality and flexibility to do whatever you want to do creatively with multiboard. That is ultimately the aim of the system. So I'm just going to put that back into place. So we've got a large thread multiboard head right there. We also have a mid thread with a mid thread hole and a small hole through it. So I'm just going to go and thread that into a snap there. We've got a large thread with the normal head that's going to go. Let's put that over here. We've got a normal small thread one here. And now we've got this T variety. Why on earth do I have this here? Well, the reason why we have T varieties of things is because of the layer adhesion of 3D prints. All these other bolts, I could easily just snap the thread right off it. However, these here, because of the layer printing like so, it is all fused together in one big chunk, which means that this is much, much, much harder to actually rip apart. In fact, I've seen these hold up to 80 kilos before they fail. Now, big thing, whenever I say any type of weight in multiboard, I always say do your own testing. But this applies across the board and multiboard, wherever you see T-bolt variants, and that's exactly what this is. It's just a flatter version made with a different printing orientation that usually has the exact same functionality, just a little bit stronger depending on the way that you're wanting to use it. Okay, now that we've talked about that there, let's get on to the last fun bit, which is let's create ourselves a little shelf right here. To create this shelf, you're going to grab yourself your brackets here. You now understand the concept behind bolt locking, so I'm pretty sure you're looking at this and going, okay, I think I see how this would be put together. So let's get nice and close here. I'm going to get myself my two moderate weight-bearing directional snaps here, one with a little arrow up there, and I'm going to get myself my bracket. I'm going to put this up on the top of the bracket, get myself my locking bolt, my T-locking bolt, and I'll lock that one into place like so. I'm going to do the same to the other one, so I'll grab one of this, make sure that the arrow is pointing upwards, I'll put it into there, and then I'll get myself the locking bolt once again and put that, screwing that into place like so. Now, if you ever find that it's jamming up a little bit, sometimes you just wiggle it back and forth, and it's probably just a little bugger that you've got from the printing process. So that's now in place like that. I'm going to grab myself now 2 of the normal snaps, and I'm going to be putting that onto the bottom right here. So we'll do the same, locking bolt onto the bottom one right there. And I'm going to do the same on this side here. Right here, we're going to put this one into place, get myself a locking bolt, and I'm going to lock it into place like so. There. I'm just going to use a coin this time around just to save my fingers a little bit, and there we have it. Now we have ourselves this little tile here. I want to connect this tile into here. However, what I don't want to do is use a normal snap this way, because if I press on this, it's going to break right the way through. So what I want to do is actually have this upside down mounted this way. Now we do have something called the DS snaps, the double-sided snaps, where it has a part A and part B. And that part A and part B system would basically do the exact same thing, where you would have the sort of a prettier looking top surface. It does the exact same thing, just this one, I'm trying to keep it simple. Let's just use normal snaps to get this up and going and running. There is also, technically speaking, which is the flush large thread, which is rather than a snap, it is a large thread that you'd be able to just thread onto this and then bolt lock it on. But we're going to keep it simple here and just do it this way by using the snaps and the locking bolts. And we're just doing this all the way around just to give you a good idea. So once again, getting a snap, putting it up on the top, getting the locking bolt and putting that up in here and tightening that up there. Oh, one extra. And there it is. And we'll get one more. I go and I put this in here, grab this one here, and I'm going to tighten that down into there like so. Give it one little crank. There it is. And now you can imagine this is a normal snap. This is the moderate weight bearing snap. So we know how this attaches on, which is we're just going to go here. We're going to press to click that into place. I'm going to go the same to this one. Press to click that into place. I'll use a flat surface for now. Oh, wait, that's the wrong way around. That was the weight bearing. So normal snaps to the shelf, normal snaps to the shelf. You'll see this is flush. And now this is our 2 moderate weight bearing ones. Remember, they have that little tooth up at the top. So I'm going to go back to this one, going to angle it like so, and then I'm going to just bring it down, and then we give it a good press downwards, and it will snap into place like so, like that. And there we have it. That is the multi-board tile learning pack all set and done. I'm going to grab this, probably put that little hook on there, and maybe put this one into the shelf like so, like that. And there you have it. Now, I hope you've learned a whole bunch of the concepts here. There's so much more to go and explore, but go ahead and go and give it a go. Have a fun, play around, and you'll figure out a whole bunch of other things. Let me know down in the comments below if there's anything else that you would like me to cover in these learning packs. I want to give you as much information as possible, but also keep it as simple and digestible as possible when we go through it all. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and keep making.